Hey, comic book fans, my nerdy friends, and my geeky compadres, what's going on? I'm coming back at you with a Halloween-themed back issue review, and today we're going to do House of Mystery, issue 285. The reason I picked this one is because I honestly have a problem with clowns. So maybe I'll get a little creeped out on this one. So that's why I wanted to pick this one. So we'll just dive in, huh? Okay, guys, how's it going? First part of the book, of course, we have Kane here introducing the book. Always really cool. Like I said, I've said this every single time. I love having them introduce the book. It's just kind of fun. And anyway, the first story is called Cold Storage. It is written by Paul Kupperberg, and the art is done by E.R. Cruz. And just so you guys know, this cover was drawn by Joe Kubert. So really cool. Should have got to that first, but anyway, yeah, Cold Storage. So the story starts off with this sergeant in the army. His name is Peter Stewart. He from Mississippi, joined the army and got put on this mission in the Arctic, and it's just him and his lieutenant up there. It starts off with them getting supplies dropped off to them. They've been there for, I think it said 6 months they've been there, and he's just done with a cold. He can't stand it. And they say, the guy who's dropping off the supplies, he's like, hey, at least you guys have each other. This next guy I'm going to drop supplies off to, he doesn't have anybody, and he's up there by himself, even further north than you guys. And they're like, oh my god, I can't believe being further north, being even more cold, and being alone on top of it. So they get the supplies, bring it in, and it just kind of goes through time, and having Sergeant Stewart, he's just kind of like, as time passes, he gets even more like anxious about the cold. He can't stand it. He wants to go home, and then he even starts to just like really, really dislike his lieutenant. And it says here that, and as the weeks go by, Stewart's discontent quickly begins to turn into something else. Dissatisfaction gives way to anger, anger to frustration, frustration to madness, and soon there is but one thought in the deranged mind of the young Southerner: I gotta get out of here. Let's see right there. So he decides, I gotta get out of here. The only way to do that is to pretty much try and hijack the supply plane when it comes. So he kind of sticks him up with his little pistol. He's like, look, if you don't get me out of here, I'm going to shoot you. His lieutenant steps in the way and he pops him one. And then he's like, look, I just killed him. I'll kill you too. Get me out of here. And the pilot's like, okay, man, let's go. And they hop in. And he's like, look, I need to get out of here quick. Let's move it. Let's go faster. Can't you go any faster? And the pilot's kind of like, he realizes that the tone of Sergeant Stewart's voice is like just pure desperation, and he realizes that he's gone insane, and decides to not take over the plane, because he's trying to take over the plane, but to just kind of get rid of get rid of him, and ends up getting shot. So the plane goes down, and because Sergeant Stewart can't fly, and he ends up just crawling away, trying to get away. And you can see right there, and finally he comes across this bunker with this one person in it, and it just happens to be this astronaut who's on his own. And he's like, look, we need to start the fire. I'm cold. Get on the radio, call somebody to come pick us up. They know where you are. And the astronaut guy's like, look, no, we can't do it. You need to get out of here. I have to stay cold. I have this disease that, I have to be in sub-zero temperatures or else I die. And Sergeant Stewart's like, I don't care. Let's get this fire going. Starts a fire and calls for somebody to come pick him up on the radio. Person on the other end of the radio says they think it's the astronaut calling, and they're telling the astronaut, look, you got to get out of there. Sergeant Stewart's coming by. You just killed. We got just received word from Lieutenant Jackson, who is Sergeant Stewart's lieutenant. We just got word from Lieutenant Jackson that Sergeant Stewart went crazy, shot him, took the airplane, and we know that the plane went down about 5 miles away. You have to get out of there. And meanwhile, the astronaut is explaining to the sergeant that I have to stay cold. And he's Sergeant Stewart's like, you know what? Shut up! And he shoots him. So he shoots him, and he gets on the radio and starts talking to the base. And they say to Sergeant Stewart, Sergeant, under no circumstances should the colonel be exposed to heat. On his last space mission, he contracted an unknown alien disease, and the only thing keeping him alive is the cold. There's no cure, Sergeant. Do you understand? You must leave now. You must leave there now. And then they tell him, just leave, Stewart. The disease is highly contagious. If you do catch it, you'll be stuck in the Arctic until we find a cure, which may be never. And then they show him kind of iced over like the astronaut was. So for all his wanting of being out of the cold, he's now stuck in the cold forever. All right, and the next story is actually called Man Without Fear. It's written by Mike W. Barr. The art is done by Ernie Patricchio, and the colorist is Jerry Serpe, and editor Len Wynn. This is kind of a short one, just like 4 pages, but it's about a man who is without fear. A man, his name is Marcus, and he hunts vampires. So you see him right here. He's kind of hunting this vampire right here. And it goes through kind of a really descriptive part on this first page of him kind of stalking the vampire. Saying, like, I knew the vampire would come here because he needs to return to his native ground to get soil for his coffin. And, I'll just, kind of throw this silver dust at him and then hit him in the heart with the stake with the other hand. And it says, like, he stays calm, he waits, and at the right time, pounces on his prey. We find out that the vampire was just a gypsy child, who was dressed up as a vampire, as kids do, as his mom says. This is the gypsy right here. That's the child's mom, and she pretty much puts a curse on Marcus, and he's like, I'm sorry, I didn't realize it. It was a gypsy kid. I've been hunting this vampire, and he was like, do you want some money? And she's like, money won't bring back my son. So she put this curse on him, She says, "You imagine yourself a brave man, a fearless man, but soon you will find yourself possessed of one crucial fear, a fear that will cost you your life." She said that right there. So we move on in the story, and Marcus is now hunting a vampire in a graveyard in a cemetery, and he's moving stealthily, approaching his vampire prey, and the vampire actually strikes first and throws a tombstone at him. And yeah, he was like, "How did you know I was here?" And he said, "You've been tracking me all over the world." And Marcus throws some more silver dust in the actual vampire's face, so we can go and grab the stakes that he dropped on the ground right there. But he's scared to the point of not being able to touch the stakes, and the vampire ends up getting him, and right there, butting his neck and killing him. And at the end here, Kane, Kane is narrating the story, and he says that the gypsy woman gave Marcus achiomophobia. It's the fear of pointed objects. But don't worry, he didn't suffer for long, just long enough to make his first and last mistake. So, yeah, pretty cool. Just a little short, real short story. Loving this book, and we'll get on to the next one. Okay, so this next one was the one I was looking least forward to. It's called Kill Clown Kill, of course. Written by Carl Wessler. The art was done by Tenny Hennison, and colorist Jerry Serpe again. So we start off at a carnival where this guy right here, he pretty much, he's the owner of the carnival. What's his name? Bert Ferris is his name. And he's pretty much closing down the circus because he's like sick of it. And he didn't tell any of the people that work for him. He's just going to sell off the animals and all the equipment and be done with the whole thing. Apparently his daughter Gail works for him, who has fallen in love with the knife thrower. And he pretty much would do anything to keep her from marrying him. So he's decided to close down the circus. Everybody's all up in arms and going crazy. They're pissed off, and they just they kind of threaten him, like you would to your boss if he fired down the whole business for no reason. So that night he goes to sleep, and someone dressed as a clown with a light bulb for a nose stabs him. The sheriff is called after the security guard sees someone running out of Ferris's office, or Ferris's bedroom, whatever, tent, something. And the sheriff comes in and wants to start talking to all the clowns. He gets them all lined up, and the security officer picks which one he thinks it is. He says he thinks it's Wordless Willie, which is this person right here, this clown. Called Wordless Willie because that clown has to whisper, cannot talk, cannot speak out loud. So the sheriff talks to Wordless Willie, and finds out that Wordless Willie has a private dressing room, and why would somebody have a private dressing room? where all the other clowns had to be together. Everybody else in the circus comes out talking to him, saying that, everybody had a reason to kill him because Ferris was just a dick, pretty much, and closed down the circus. The sheriff has a hold of the knife that was used to kill Ferris, and finds out that it's the throwing knife of Gail's boyfriend, pretty much. So that's someone else who could have killed him. It's just kind of like the sheriff is like a really detective, like very good detective, I guess. He goes and talks to Gail because he doesn't think Willie did it. The detective asks Gail about her mom, and she left 5 years ago. Her name was, he used to call her Mina, and the sheriff deduces that Mina is short for Wilhelmina, and goes and talks to Wordless Willie, and tells Wordless Willie that Gail confessed to killing Ferris, and Wordless Willie, being Wilhelmina, being Gail's mom, screams, "I did it, I stole the knife, and I stabbed him," and so he pretty much says she's under arrest, and then everybody starts coming forward, and they're like, you can't arrest her for something I did, and the coroner comes up and gives the official cause of death, and he says to the sheriff, "You think Ferris was stabbed to death? He was shot, his back was broken, his aorta punctured, he was poisoned, and his skull was crushed." Not necessarily in that order. So, he tells Wilhelmina that she can go, and because nobody knows who the actual killer is, they don't know which thing happened first. So that was pretty much it. This one wasn't scary, really. Just kind of a cool detective story kind of thing, I guess. But yeah, I liked it. It was good. Okay, so this last one is called Sound and Fury. It's written by Mike W. Barr, artist John Garcia, letterer Milt Snappin, colorist Jerry Serpe, and editor Len Wynn. Oh, excuse me, sorry. This story takes place in Sam and Mary Liebenthal's candy store. They run a candy and magazine store, and there's this hooligan named Rico right here who has a radio that he just plays way too loud all the time. Sam and Mary are trying to run a respectable business, and Rico's just messing everything up. So Mary says to Sam, she's like, "Why don't you go say something to him? He's running our business away." Sam goes out there, and he's really just a gentle, nice kind of, old man. And he's like, "Hey, can you turn that down? Turn it off, whatever." And Rico's like, "Why, man? It's not hurting anybody. It's just a little sound, man." And, yeah, it's just a little sound, man. Sam goes back in, and Mary's like, "I understand. We got to do something, though." So, that night, Sam closes up. Rico's still out there blasting his music, and we find out that Rico's been casing the joint for weeks. It's time for Rico to move. So, he pretty much comes up with a plan where he's going to stick up the store tomorrow and clean it out. The next night, Sam and Mary are seen kind of just... there you go, hugging, and I guess Sam's leaving early, and Mary's going to close up the store by herself. Rico decides this is the perfect time. He goes in and he said, "Stick 'em up, give me everything, give me all your money." And Mary realizes it's Rico because he has his radio slung over his shoulder, and she's like, "Rico, what are you doing?" And you can't shoot because people will hear the gunfire. Well, Rico decides to turn his radio on, and nobody will hear the gunfire. So he starts shooting crazy and takes off. 2 hours later, Sam comes back. He's like, "I thought you were closing up the store." He comes in, and Mary's just laid out there on the floor. Turns out the bullet just creased the side of her head, says the doctor at the hospital, and she's going to be fine, but she has to recover in peace and quiet. And Rico is standing outside and hearing these old ladies talk about what's going on with her, and he's like, if she needs peace and quiet, she's not getting any of it. So he goes to Sam and Mary's house and starts blasting the radio so she won't remember who shot her. Well, Mary asks Sam to go talk to him, and Sam goes back down and he talks to Rico. He's like, "Man, can you turn that music down, because my wife's trying to get better. She just got shot in the head and she needs some peace and quiet." And he's like, Rico says, "Come on, man, I can play it. I'm not hurting anybody. It's just a little sound, man." He keeps saying that. And Sam goes back up, and Mary calls Sam into her room. And she's like, Sam, come here. And she's like, all that music made me remember that it was Rico who shot me. And Sam gets all freaked out and screams at Rico and starts chasing after him. And he chases him into an old abandoned building there. And Sam hears the radio coming from downstairs, so he starts going down the stairs, and Rico pushes him downstairs to try to kill him. But he doesn't die. They start wrestling around on the floor. Rico pulls out his gun, and Sam blocks himself from getting shot, but some debris comes down and falls onto Rico. And some gas, you can start smelling the gas seeping in. And Rico says, "That smell of gas, you can't leave me, old man, but my buddy..." He says, "You can leave me, old man, but my buddies, they'll help me out. All I have to do is shout." And Sam says, "You do that, Rico," as he turns on the radio and turns it up. And Rico screams, "No, leave that off." He says, "No, turn it down, please." And says, smiling, Sam takes his leave. And though Rico cannot hear Sam's departing words over the hiss of deadly gas, Rico knows what those words must be. And it shows Sam here saying, "Turn it down? Why? It's just a little sound, Rico." So that was cool. Nice little tale of revenge there. So we're left to believe that Rico dies down there of asphyxiation. Wow, I can almost talk today. Alright, so that was my review of House of Mystery 285. I'm loving these books. They're just fun to go over, So that was that. Today's Tuesday, October 15th. It's a really special day because one of my four guys' brothers, it's his birthday today. So happy birthday goes out to the Dark Nate 40. Nate, I hope your birthday is awesome, man. I saw your birthday haul video you did over the weekend from when you went to Chicago to celebrate with your sister, and you got some really great stuff. you know, and I hope your day today was really good. If any of you out there have not seen Nate's channel, go do that presently. I'll put a link in the description, and yeah, go check him out. Wish him a happy birthday. So that's it. That's my review. This Halloween themed back issue review. I hope you guys are enjoying these because I'm enjoying going back and reading them and reviewing them for you. So that's that, and I guess I'll see you guys later. This is, I can't think of a tagline for this one. Crap. Oh well. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.